Controversial, outspoken, and the Ed Wood of modern-day Hollywood? Does Uwe understand all the criticism of his work?
Whatever you do as a filmmaker, you cannot fulfill the dreams of that hardcore gamer.
And why does he think his next film, Postal, is funnier than Borat?
Since Naked Gun or A Life of Brian, there was not one movie so ridiculous like Postal.
Find out next, right here in the bonus round. Hey everybody, welcome back to the bonus round. This time we're talking with infamous video game film director Uwe Boll, who has Postal that's coming out early 2008, right?
Yeah, February 1st.
February 1st, all right. Well, you're doing all these video game-based movies, but gamers, I think, they really feel that they're sort of getting a bit of a raw deal. They're, often very disappointed with your films. Do you understand sort of the petitions online and these people saying that you're kind of, raping these games and not making, the best movies? Do you understand why people feel that way?
I took critique in, I gave some critics credit. Right. And I think after House of the Dead and Alone in the Dark, we changed a lot. Right. We developed the projects longer, we stayed closer to the game. And on Blood Rain, Gwyneth Turner, she wrote American Psycho, wrote the script, for example. Right. And on Dungeon Siege, In the Name of the King, what comes out January 11, wow. Even before Postal in the theaters, is very close to the game, and Gas Power Games, Chris Taylor, he loves it. Right. So, but there are also gamers, I think, they have their game in their head, basically. Mm-hmm. If you play a game for a few months and you get really into it, you fall in love with the game. So it's your own world in your head. So whatever you do as a filmmaker, you cannot fulfill the dreams of that hardcore gamer. Right. But as a filmmaker, you have to make also a movie what people understand they never played the game. Yeah. And if you make a movie Alone in the Dark with Christian Slater and Stephen Dorff and Tara Reid, it should be also a sci-fi thriller, what works for the audience they never heard about.
It's rarely you hear the gamers say like, "Oh, I didn't like the movie because it was different than the game." I think they just didn't like the movie because they thought it was bad, like badly directed, badly acted.
Okay, but this is like.
It wasn't because where was that scene from the game?
No, I know, but I think in my case, I think it went far over the top, right? So with petitions like Kill Boll, right. And I think this is was stupid. If you make a movie like House of the Dead, I think my movie House of the Dead is the perfect video game-based movie. Right. Because look, you have zombies, you have splatter, you have non-stop action, and you have unbelievable special effects, like with the Matrix stuff and all that stuff, right? So what were people expecting? Right. Fans of House of the Dead, what was their expectation if you make a movie out of it? Sensational twists like Usual Suspects or something? I don't think so. So I think
maybe it should have been made into a movie, though. Maybe there was nothing there to make it.
But I think I fulfilled a lot what the game was. Right. And but if you see now on Postal at least, and on In the Name of the King, the Dungeon Siege tale, it turns a little around. I think I get more support for these two movies so far.
Really?
I traveled to festivals. We showed it in various like audience screenings, and I think Postal gets better reviews so far, and more word of mouth, and people like it way more, even if it's. I think because it's a good movie, not because it follows the video game super close, but because it's a different movie. It's a funny movie.
You were saying Dungeon Siege, which you shot a couple years ago, but it's coming out in January. You're saying that there's a new trailer. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. You think it's testing really well, the trailer, you said?
Yeah, so we had like a trailer test agency, basically, and they said from 500 trailers, trailer tests in the last year, they only Departure and Pirates of the Caribbean tested better.
So better than Transformers?
Yeah.
Better than, wow.
Better test results. And this was very surprising. Right. But the trailer is really good. And it was a long, hard work to finish that movie. Because we planned it at one point to do 2 episodes.
That's right.
It was 3 hours, 20 minutes long. Then we had to cut it down to 130 minutes.
This is like your Braveheart, you said, right?
Right. It's a big epic movie. Jason Statham, Ray Liotta, Ron Perlman, Claire Forlani, Lily Sobieski, John Rhys Davis, Burt Reynolds. So it's a big cast in that movie. And I think it's a movie with an actual, let's say, wider appeal as the normal video game-based movie. Right. And so we'll see what the results are on January 11. The countdown is running. But I'm optimistic that this movie will make way more box office as all my other movies.
Now, you mentioned how, when you do these films, you think you're doing the exact film that sort of the video game audience would want, like a House of the Dead. But I wonder, do you maybe have a different taste than sort of some American, gamers with, like last year? What was your, what films did you like? Did you like Departed? Did you like Little Miss Sunshine, Night at the Museum, Ant Bully, Poseidon? What were your favorite films last year?
Last King of Scotland.
Okay.
Was my favorite movie.
Yeah.
And Little Miss Sunshine, I think, I liked that movie. It was great, but it was also, in a way, in the end, a little overrated, I think.
Right.
Because I think it was a great movie, but it was a little, it was not a masterpiece or something. It has a great ending, right? So, and Departure, I think, is not the best Martin Scorsese movie. I'm a big fan of Raging Bull and Taxi Driver, and I think the best movies he did were like all 20 years ago. Right. And now he gets the Oscars because they have to give him at one point Oscars. So, but
just like they have to give you one at one point.
Yeah, I hope so. If I make 100 movies till I'm 75, I get one. Okay. So, but no, but the thing is, it's not like that. I think I hit with every video game-based movie the mark or the nerve of the audience. I know that Tara Reid was not the optimum actress for Alone in the Dark. Right. But if you make a movie like Alone in the Dark and you are independent and you pay a few $100,000 to the female lead, and I would throw her out, the money would be gone. I have to find a replacement actress, for example, and I lose $1 million or something, and I cannot afford to go $1 million over budget. Who should pay that? And this is what I mean. Like, people should understand also that Michael Bay, for example, he can spend whatever he wants. Right. The check comes from the studio. If they go $40 million over budget in every $150 million studio movie, they don't care.
We mentioned Michael
Bay. I couldn't do it.
Which Hollywood directors do you think are overrated, that are worse than you?
Worse, and I don't want to drop names here, but I think there are a lot of directors, they made worst movies, movies they suck basically, and
you see any movies that suck?
Yeah, absolutely. Invasion was a disaster. Right. The last Sandra Bullock movie was a disaster. So I see a lot of movies. I didn't even like Chuck and Larry with Adam Sandler. So this is the thing, like, there are a lot of movies that are really not good. Right. And if somebody says Ultraviolet or Elektra was better as Blood Rain, I think then you lose it. Then you don't because look, in Blood Rain, at least you have a great cast with tons of stars. You have a lot of blood, you have sex, you have gore, you have action. But in that movies, you don't have anything. Right. You have only like promises, and they never fulfill the promises because it's a PG-13 horror or whatever, and I think it's laughable. And this is the point. And I think if I would made a few movies like the Halloween movie, Rob Zombie, for example, I think it's not good. It's not a good movie, but if I would make that movie, I would be crashed, right? It's the same movie, but because it's Rob Zombie, they maybe say,
cool.
yeah, it's maybe cool. He didn't get really good reviews on it, but the thing is that in my case, it's way harder to get a good review. Yeah. And the thing is, what I see after I get out of Postal, for example, a lot of people, a lot of websites also, and reporters, they bashed my other movies, and now they see Postal and they say, I really have to say, this is funny. This was a good movie. But because I made it, they cannot say, this was the funniest movie of the whole year. They cannot say it. So they cannot jump over their own shadow, basically, to give me the credit, to say Postal is funny, and nobody made a movie like Postal. I think the thing is, since Naked Gun or A Life of Brian, there was not one movie so ridiculous like Postal.
Really?
Borat was an example, but
not as good, not as outrageous as Postal.
No, I think Postal is better as Borat.
Really?
Yeah, but I think Borat had a big, perfect campaign. I loved Borat. I love Ali G, right? So so I like this kind of ridiculous humor, and I had a blast. But I think Postal is in a way more interesting because what Postal with the Bin Laden here and George Bush here and the Trailer Park Guys here. So in Postal is a lot what is a commentary also of where we are right now in world politics. And at the same time, it's a ridiculous comedy and then without any taboos.
Right. All right, Uwe, well, we have lots more to talk about Postal and the message in that film when we come back on the bonus round. Next on the bonus round, Uwe tackles his critics head on. What does he say to those who claim he spends more time talking to investors than directing his films?
There's a reason, I think, why all that actors were in my movies, basically.
And does he agree that gamers have the right to bash his work?
You know what is unfair? Unfair is, for example, that IMDb opens my movies for votes 6 months before they're coming out.
Find out why Uwe's so angry next time in the bonus round.
Bonus round.